Hey, what's going on? It's Stokely from Sauce on Delay. You know, I don't spend much time talking about hair, but let me talk about my hair. The end of December, I was not feeling well. Not the end of December, like the beginning of, around the beginning of December, around the teens. I wasn't feeling too well, so I stopped brushing my hair. I just gave my hair a break, I stopped shaving and all of that. So I still haven't gotten back into my routine. Still haven't been as motivated to get back into my routine. You can't be on at all times. So I'm giving myself, I'm forgiving myself, and I'm dealing with some, just focusing on self-care or whatever you want to call it. I'm just taking a break right now. My aesthetics are kind of secondary to my piece, but my aesthetics are part of my piece, because, when you look good, you feel better too. You know what I mean? When you think you look good. But that also could create a problem, because what you think you look like, or how you think looks good, what you think looks good, might be harmful to you. So you gotta kind of be careful with that, and it's important to just be satisfied with your natural self. So I'm relatively satisfied with my natural self, and relatively satisfied in being unkempt. Went to work with my crushed shirt, and my shirt's all crushed up, and fortunately, I guess they kind of like me at work. I don't know. They probably, whatever. Let's assume the best, right? Let's assume that they like me. I produce, I do my work, so they don't let my unkempt appearance bother them too much, as long as I keep working and I keep producing and doing what I have to do, and I get results. So hopefully I'll get back onto it, but that's not what I really popped on here to talk about. I just mentioned that because that's what the product is all about, hair, right? But I haven't really been speaking about that. I speak about things in general, right? So I was on Facebook today, and the department, mental health is definitely becoming a major discussion. I was just speaking to some of my relatives the other day, and they were telling me that violence in the schools has increased since the lockdowns, and studies have been published saying that mental health issues have gone up 40%. I just made a post the other day regarding some information posted by United Healthcare saying that substance abuse, people have either started or increased substance abuse 12% since COVID-19. So mental health issues are definitely rising to become a real issue. I have, aside from the isolation, aside from the financial pressures, aside from the evictions, aside from the unemployment, aside from the illness, aside from the loss of family members, there's so many factors. Aside from those factors, I suspect there's other factors that why people are having a hard time. Everybody's having a hard time. Well, not everyone, but many people are having a hard time, and it's very unfortunate. And we gotta kind of give people the leeway sometimes, and put our distance between some of them, put between ourselves and them sometimes, because some are not in a space where they want to be helped, or they acknowledge that they need to be helped. So, but I was on Facebook today, and I hope this keeps recording while I'm looking up this thing. I was on Facebook today, and the New York City Department of Health published a little, I don't know what you can call it, infograph, I would call it that, right? Regarding safe cannabis use. Okay, so I just posted yesterday a blog post about the development of the brain and drug use. Now, I didn't look at this before that, just based on the information that I mentioned during that. I'm just going off of information before I even saw this post here, but I'm going to read what the New York City Department of Health posted as soon as I get around this school bus, because I'm gonna be, I'm doing something dangerous right now. Says, avoid using too much cannabis too quickly. Start with a small amount and go slow. Avoid mixing cannabis with other drugs, including alcohol. Avoid using cannabis before or while driving. It is unsafe and illegal to drive while under the influence of cannabis, and illegal to use in a car even when parked as a passenger. And they do give tickets if you're sitting in your car smoking. So yeah, if you are younger than 25, this is the part that I was talking about in my post before. I didn't even see this. I'm honest, 100% honest. If you are younger than 25, be aware that cannabis use carries increased health risks for you. So it just said there, if you're under 25, you can suffer health complications. It doesn't detail whether it's mental or bodily, or it doesn't detail whether it's psychological or physical. But based on what I understand, it is a psychological thing, because you're, like I said, prefrontal cortex is not fully developed until you're about 25 years old. So you risk making yourself develop mental health issues by using any kind of drugs before the age of 25. Now, the last thing they said is keep cannabis and cannabis products secure and out of the sight and reach of children and youth. If a child eats or drinks cannabis products, call the New York City Poison Control Center at 212-POISONS, 212-764-7667, or available 24/7. Okay, so this is all useful information, but primarily I wanted to talk about the part where it says don't use it if you're under 25. And like I said, I'm not like a person that's trying to stop anybody's fun or prohibit people's medical use or whatever the case may be. I'm just putting out the information that I encounter. And this is from the New York City Department of Mental Health and Hygiene. But they just call it New York City Health right here. But it's Department of Mental Health and Hygiene. That's the name of the New York City Department of Health. This full name is New York City Department of Mental Health and Hygiene. Okay? So it also says here, I read it already. It also says here, don't use marijuana while you're using other drugs like alcohol. Now, alcohol, from my understanding, and I was told by someone who's a distributor, alcohol is a depressant. Alcohol makes you depressed. Alcohol is a downer. That's why people get so violent when they are under the influence of alcohol. Alcohol is a downer, right? It and it has a lot of other negative health effects, Yeah, so it destroys your pancreas and your liver. It's no good for you. Now, alcohol, there's no good concentration according to the Kidney Foundation. I forgot what the name of the Kidney Foundation is. So your kidneys, your liver, and your pancreas are all affected by alcohol. No good amount is good for your kidneys. But the prefrontal cortex, as we discussed yesterday, or as I talked to myself about yesterday, the prefrontal cortex is responsible for judgment, restraint, dopamine release, and all of this stuff like that. So if your judgment center is compromised by marijuana, you might end up drinking more than you're supposed to. You know, I don't really know the effects of these things because I've never used, I've never been drunk, I've never been high, so I really can't. I'm not passing judgment, I'm just telling you the information. So they say the prefrontal cortex is, your area that you deal with restraint and judgment and all these other things. So if it's compromised by you smoking marijuana or taking marijuana related cannabis products, you might risk using too much alcohol, and alcohol could poison you. You can have alcohol poisoning, and you could become inebriated to the point where you have an accident, you fall out, you pass out, or something like that. You never know. So that's all I wanted to share. I saw that on the Department of Health website, and I was like, wow, I just spoke about that yesterday. Just looking at, just being inspired by the United Healthcare pamphlet that was talking about increased substance abuse during the pandemic, and the fact that 90% of people who are addicted to drugs started using it before 18 years old, shows that young people are severely affected by drugs and alcohol. Their bodies their bodies are more susceptible to it. And then now the New York City Department of Health just confirmed it again, just reinforced that by saying you risk more serious health conditions if you're under 25 and use marijuana, or cannabis. Cannabis, right? That's the word that they use. Let's use the word that they use, right? Anyhow, be safe out there. Be safe to, like they say, I think those are great recommendations. Take it a little bit at a time. Don't use it while you're driving. Don't mix it with other psychotropic or things that affect your brain and your judgment and all these things. Food is a drug, so I don't know how far that will go, So, thanks for listening. I don't really have much else to say. Have a good day.